Welcome back to our channel, where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. King Charles and Harry's secret summit exposed the truth of the DNA of Meghan's children, shocking everyone. An intimate source says that King Charles and Prince Harry met in secret when Harry was in the UK for a brief visit. Reports say that King Charles is unhappy with Prince Harry's request for money and his child's royal title. The insider said that King Charles drops proof on Archie and Lilibet and shuts down Meghan. As a result of Prince Harry's marriage to Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, the newlyweds and their immediate family have been subjected to a level of public scrutiny that has never been seen before and will continue to be constant. Their choices, both public and private, have been the topic of continuous coverage, criticism, and debate in the publications that cover the news. The choice of the pair to abandon their royal responsibilities and start a new life in another country has led to the majority of the attention being focused on them. On the other hand, their two children, Archie and Lilibet, have garnered an excessive amount of attention. A distorted image of the children's birth conditions, early public appearance information, and the recurrent questions about their family tree have all been contributed to by social media, political internet forums, and a tabloid press that is widely distributed throughout the world. This setting has resulted in a tangled and frequently conflicting array of stories, some of which are based on events that may be verified, while others are completely fabricated. Despite the absence of evidence, these assertions have sparked significant constitutional concerns and maintained public interest. As a result, the purpose of this extensive account is to summarize the most important aspects of those stories, clarify what has been officially confirmed and what has only been speculated about, and provide an explanation as to why this is the case. According to the most widely circulated news accounts, Archie and Lilibet are said to have been subjected to covert DNA testing. According to numerous versions of the tale that have been disseminated across a variety of internet platforms and media sources, the administrative apparatus of the royal household is said to have conducted a covert investigation into data about biological genealogy and succession. According to the information that we have gathered from these reports, the tangible documentation of the conclusions of the review is a paper that reportedly bears the stamp of Kensington Palace, along with the following 5 words: "No Windsor blood detected." There is also the possibility that the administrative organization that is in charge of the process is known by a variety of titles, such as the Royal Protocol Office, according to these accounts. It is said that this body gave the order to conduct forensic testing in order to guarantee that everything was carried out in a legitimate manner and in line with the established customs. The accusations continue by stating that the supposed tests showed that the children did not have any biological or chromosomal links to Prince Harry or the rest of the Windsor family. In the event that this information is correct, there would be significant repercussions following. All of these things, including the children's eligibility to use royal styles and titles, their place in the formal line of succession, and whether or not it is proper to use the Windsor name in social and official situations, would be put into question as a result of this. Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace are 2 examples of royal homes that have not confirmed the existence of any inquiry or the results of any investigation. There have been rumors going around that are based on documents whose origins are unknown, remarks made by insiders who have not been named, and leaks that have been made anonymously. There has been no possibility of independently verifying their assertions. The claims have garnered much too much attention in media ecosystems that are more interested in spectacular narratives. This is due to the fact that they touch on themes that are both legally difficult for the monarchy, such as concerns of legitimacy, constitutional continuity, and symbolism. Surrogacy, DNA, and secrecy have been the subject of stories that have quickly gone viral on social media. These stories have spurred bigger issues about privacy, media, accountability, public figure branding, and the constitutional underpinning of hereditary monarchy. To have a better understanding of why these accusations produce such a frenzy, it is important to take a look at the events that have occurred in the past, particularly the deviations from royal tradition that occurred during the births of Archie and Lilibet, as well as how people saw these deviations. Rather than adhering to the traditional highly ceremonial public procedures that have traditionally been used to bolster the legitimacy and longevity of the royal line, the Sussexes framed each birth as a momentous event that was attended by just those members of the family that they chose to be there. There was an instant buzz produced by public remarks made in relation to Meghan's baby shower for Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, which took place in May of 2019. Buckingham Palace made the first announcement that the Duchess was going to give birth in the wee hours of the morning. It was at 5:26 in the morning, a few hours later, on the very same day that they verified the birth of her baby. When compared to the exact manner in which the royal family handles communications, the gap in time seemed to be surprising to those who were used to it. The amount of time that was necessary to prepare formal statements, the change in reporting time, and the requirement to coordinate meetings with medical staff were all factors that, according to some experts, indicated the presence of a new approach that was more discreet. The fact that the Sussexes opted out of the usual photo op on the hospital steps was even more apparent. New royal heirs have made their public debuts at renowned birthing venues like the Lindo Wing at St. Mary's Hospital for decades. A photograph of the mother and child, usually accompanied by a senior monarch, was used as a casual ceremonial affirmation of continuity. Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Princess Diana each did it, so now it seems like par for the course. The happy couple instead arranged a well-organized indoor photo session at Windsor Castle's St. George's Hall only 2 days after Archie was born. Throughout their brief encounter, Prince Harry cradled the infant in a way that revealed only a little portion of the child's face. During the ceremony, Meghan avoided making eye contact with her child. They desired more privacy and control over their presentation, the pair argued, and their choices demonstrated that. The artificial look, according to some, was an intentional attempt to avoid being transparent, which prompted suspicion. They faced similar choices at the birth of their daughter Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor on June 4, 2021. The couple had relocated to California and ceased performing royal duties at that time. The official announcement was published on the Archewell Foundation website, which said that the baby had been delivered at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. Very little further information was provided. The pair didn't release a family portrait to the public until they sent out their Christmas card for 2021, which was almost 6 months later. Ever since then, the public has only seen a handful of Lilibet photographs. A famous photographer captured the family's relaxed home environment in the Christmas snapshot, which they then published on their respective channels. Much as during Archie's birth, commentators and online communities rushed to fill the void with speculation and alternative explanations due to the absence of timely, independently documented and witness-attested facts. Many hypotheses have circulated online on the Sussexes' departure from tradition, some based on speculation and others on extensive research, thanks to the information vacuum caused by a combination of regulated disclosure and intentional privacy choices. Concerning the pregnancies themselves, one set of theories has been put forward. There were some who said Meghan wore a moon bump, a false maternity belly when she was pregnant with her first child, rather than her own body. Video and picture images circulated by those who held this view supposedly showed her stomach changing in ways that wouldn't be expected during a typical pregnancy, which might have indicated the folding or movement of a prosthesis. The way individuals typically dress, stand, and move, as well as the fact that maternity garments are designed to fit and flatter changing bodies, often account for these types of findings. Experts in medicine and photography have long recognized that factors such as clothes, camera position, and motion may create optical illusions that could seem strange in still photographs or compressed videos. Additionally, the signs of pregnancy might vary depending on the individual and the time of day. But the prosthetic myth persisted in certain internet communities, in part because some saw the Sussexes' decision to keep things under wraps as proof that secrecy is always a good option. The second set of assumptions considered the children's appearance in the publicly available photographs. Some online communities compared Archie and Lilibet side by side, arguing that the characters' varying hair colors, skin tones, ear shapes, and positions proved that they were shown at separate periods or worse were inanimate stand-ins. The reborn doll idea was the most extreme form of this reasoning. It argued that children were accompanied by realistic dolls during certain public appearances in order to shield them from the scrutiny of the media or to conceal their actual appearance. Claims of fraud were made in many instances due to discontinuities in visual detail that might be caused by factors such as distance extreme cropping, deliberate obfuscation, developmental variance, or differences in photography processing. The appearance of infants undergoes rapid transformation throughout the first few months and years of life, according to pediatricians and child development specialists. As an example, depending on the angle and focus, one's hair color, skin tone, and the perceived shape of one's ears may all alter. Images may have drastically diverse appearances depending on factors including exposure framing and post-processing according to photographers. However, some have pointed to the Sussexes' selective visual record in which they hide their children's faces as evidence that they are dishonest. A new, more in-depth account surfaced confirming the involvement of surrogacy. Thus, it was clear that this was more than just visual speculation. Some news sources and social media accounts have presented conflicting versions of this tale, with some claiming that a surrogate mother identified only by her initials, JG, was used by an American agency to carry the pregnancy to term. According to unsubstantiated claims made in online papers and tales, JG is a woman in her early 30s who allegedly agreed to a stringent code of secrecy, including a multi-decade non-disclosure agreement that, if violated, would result in significant financial penalties and perhaps criminal prosecution. Payouts totaling more than $750,000 have allegedly flowed into accounts associated with nonprofits that assist the Sussexes, according to other narratives. When individuals talk about their surrogacy experiences on social media, they often embellish their tales with a lot of details. Among the alleged events are that JG was initially kept in the dark about her biological parents, that she was forcibly removed to an isolated estate and subjected to round-the-clock monitoring, that her interactions with the Duke and Duchess prior to the births were strictly regulated, that she gave birth in a Los Angeles suite while using pseudonyms on her medical records, and that the couple did not show up for the births but arrived afterwards. The objective of these agreements, as recounted in some accounts, was to shield the parents and their infants from prying eyes in the media. These allegations about surrogacy, similar to the DNA claims, lack evidence. The primary evidence presented in support is based on documents that have been leaked and whose origins are unclear assertions made by unnamed persons and purported logistical details that have not been confirmed by a reliable independent investigation. This fascinating tale shows that when the government doesn't verify private family events clearly and immediately, people might make up and spread their own stories. It also demonstrates how, when the individuals involved are in the spotlight, modern surrogacy techniques, which are legal and used by many, can become conspiracy theories. Realities in international reproductive arrangements include the use of confidentiality agreements and other legal tools, as well as the widespread hiring of intermediaries and agencies. When combined with selective disclosure and an open audience, however, these features may be seen in speculative tales as signs of illegal concealment. It is helpful to look at the legal and constitutional underpinnings of hereditary monarchy in order to understand the strong feelings around questions of biological and parental heritage about the royal family. The British monarchy is not a democratically chosen position, but rather an inherited one, and its legitimacy rests on the continuity of the royal family's line of succession. A clear and legally definite succession to the throne has been established by a set of norms that have evolved throughout time, some of which have been codified into law and others of which have been preserved by constitutional convention. Commonly cited while discussing succession are the 1701 Act of Settlement and the 2013 Succession to the Crown Act. To prevent Catholics and those married to Catholics from becoming king, the Act of Settlement imposed limitations designed to guarantee that a Protestant would ascend to the throne. To name just one of several changes to the Succession to the Crown Act 2013 did away with male preference primogeniture for all individuals born after October 28, 2011. Regardless of gender, the throne would be bestowed on the eldest child under this system. Marrying a Roman Catholic also removed a number of restrictions. Parliamentary law retains ultimate authority over succession, as shown by these revisions to the statute. A confirmed biological relationship has more than just symbolic value in succession claims. Keeping track of heirs' births was a top priority for royal families in the past, and they would go to extreme lengths and seem invasive by modern standards to ensure that no one would attempt to swap or cheat. In the past, it was common practice for high-ranking court officials to be present during births. This was done to prevent any severe accusations of a changeling or illegitimate replacement from happening. The reasoning behind these long-gone customs continues to influence modern expectations that birth certificates will be officially recorded, that medical experts will verify the birth of royal heirs, and that this information will be made public in a manner that permits historical documentation. Records kept by hospitals, medical professionals' signatures, and the protocols followed by royal families when making public pronouncements are examples of modern-day official witnesses. Questions may arise if these public benchmarks are either omitted, inadequate, or artificially limited. The lack of clarity about one's family tree has the ability to have far-reaching legal and political consequences. An individual's legal succession status, as well as the purpose of letters patent, commission styles, and titles, may raise questions among the general public. One possible outcome is the selection of senior royals to serve as counselors of state, delegating authority to the monarch in his absence or incapacity. No one could carry out their official responsibilities if they were not certain they were a member of the royal family. The sovereign grant public funds allocated to the monarchy by Parliament for official tasks, administration, and maintenance also contributes financially to the royal family. Legitimate royals' use of public monies has the potential to spark debates in Parliament and the public about ethics, openness, and responsibility if these issues are not resolved. New details have emerged regarding alleged private briefings for senior officials. These briefings reportedly included the presentation of what were allegedly DNA test results to King Charles III and Prince William, the Prince of Wales, as well as requests for advice from the Prime Minister and constitutional lawyers regarding potential solutions. If these meetings did take place, it would indicate that top officials were preparing for a controlled response or potential administrative or legal action. It must be stressed that these assertions are not facts, but rather pieces of an unsubstantiated story. The Prime Minister's office and the royal households in question have neither confirmed nor denied the existence of these briefings or the presentation of these conclusions. The constitutional importance of questions of hereditary legitimacy is shown by the fact that they may need parliamentary discussion. These constitutional and legal concerns are discussed with branding, media strategy, and the commercial side of contemporary public life. When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex left their full-time royal duties behind and relocated to California, they adopted a media strategy that blended personal narratives with business. They have become content creators and media entrepreneurs with a global audience via their partnerships with global entertainment platforms such as audio and streaming platforms and their charity, the Archewell Foundation. Harry and Meghan, a popular 2022 Netflix documentary series, featured the couple sharing personal stories and offering their own perspectives on news stories that had previously been reported. The series and the interviews and public appearances that followed provided glimpses into the family's lives, although they sometimes obscured or omitted the children's faces. Celebrities often take measures to protect the visual privacy of children. This helps to meet both the children's and the public's expectations for transparency. It is widely believed that the couple is using their public image and family life for financial gain due to the selective depiction of children in professionally produced content. Some find it weird that commercial entertainment based on family tales is made while strict parental privacy is demanded for the kids. Using their royal connections for financial gain seems at odds with their duty to protect the children from harm. The couple's backers argue that they have every right to want to manage their tale and shield their children from the exploitative and overly intrusive practices of the media. The moral questions raised by the two perspectives regarding fame authorization and the commercialization of human stories are worth considering. Discussions on race and identity only serve to complicate matters. Public interviews with Meghan have often touched on her experiences as a biracial woman, which has led to some very contentious press coverage. These issues are subordinate to broader debates over the ways in which gender, celebrity, and race influence the media's storytelling and the public's perception of it. The combination of privacy, publicity, and commercialization has elicited varying reactions from people in many nations, including the UK. A look at polls and remarks from different eras reveals that opinions about the Sussexes have evolved. They are seen by some as a reformist and contemporary influence inside the royal family. They have highlighted issues such as racial identity, mental health awareness, and the tabloid press's intrusive practices. But there are those who perceive the couple's actions as a betrayal of their royal status and an attempt to profit from their connections while avoiding their duties. There is a lot of space for suspicion, and in its worst manifestations, for seeing typical private acts as being part of a plot due to the tension between respecting individual freedom and being accountable to an institution. The modern method of information dissemination has contributed significantly to the spread of myths about the children of the Sussex family. Claims, photographs, and videos may be swiftly shared to large audiences on content-sharing messaging and social media sites. Nevertheless, these platforms lack the editorial oversight typical of more conventional news outlets. Algorithmic recommendation systems have a tendency to favor content that elicits strong emotional reactions, which may lead to the fast dissemination of outlandish interpretations and sensational claims. Echo chambers are communities of internet users who tend to agree with one another. A little idea might blossom into a major, seemingly popular problem under their guidance. Inconsistencies, real or imagined, will be seen by those who are already inclined to doubt the couple's public statements as proof that they are being dishonest. The more people who hear an assumption repeated, the more likely it is to be believed even if no proof exists to support it. On the other hand, professional journalists and editorial organizations work in a commercial context, which means that they earn more page views and advertising income by making statements that are both bold and exclusive. As a consequence of these economic incentives, it would not always be simple to differentiate between the marketing of sensationalized stories and the thorough verification of information. Tabloid journalism has a long history of favoring scoops and exclusives above comprehensive verification. This particular approach has been around for quite some time. It is possible that unproven rumors may continue to acquire popularity owing to the nature of social media and the mentality of the news industry, even when official authorities refute them. The lawsuit that the Sussexes have brought against a number of media outlets in the United Kingdom, as well as their public criticism of certain articles and methods, further complicates the situation. The couple's already difficult relationship with some segments of the media has taken an even more negative turn as a direct consequence of their actions. The fact that many narratives continue to exist in the absence of independent validation is evidence of a more widespread societal phenomenon. On the other hand, the use of restricted transparency by organizations that have for a long time purported to be transparent via ritual, public records, or ceremony may be viewed with mistrust by certain individuals. Despite the fact that it is reasonable that the Sussexes would want to maintain their privacy, this decision goes against the norm that stipulates the public should be allowed to observe and photograph freshly born royal children. As a consequence of this dissonance, rumors are able to spread, and the situation becomes much more precarious when royal spouses go outside of the country. Because of a lack of knowledge with the traditions of the British court, the general people and institutions are not adequately prepared to authenticate the incidents that have taken place. An increase in the likelihood of misunderstandings occurs when there is a cultural divide between a public that is used to ritualize disclosure and a couple that is advocating for a privacy and brand management strategy that is comparable to that of the United States. There is a fundamental conflict between the public's interest in the ceremonial and constitutional features of royal births and the public's right to privacy, as well as the requirement for proper child care facilities. The protection of children's health development and safety is a need that fulfills both ethical and legal requirements. Protecting children from the scrutiny of the public is in line with the fulfillment of that obligation. However, owing to the fact that monarchs have a constitutional position that is distinct from that of other families, they are not obligated to be as open or to show as much evidence as monarchies are. There are issues that cannot be solved because of the conflict that exists between the private rights of family members and the public interest in the upkeep of institutions. There is more to this than just a theoretical concern. The measures taken by the royal family in these instances will impact public attitudes about how public figures, including royalty, should handle concerns of privacy and transparency in the future. Taking into consideration the ongoing conversation, what are the outcomes that are most likely to occur? It is possible that the existing pattern of claims and official silence will continue in the absence of new evidence to address the concerns. This is one of the possibilities. As a result of the inherent shareability and attention-grabbing quality of ludicrous assertions, it is possible that they will continue to dominate public and online debate, giving more weight to the most frivolous charges than they deserve. Despite the fact that the royal family is always concerned with other concerns, a significant number of people are beginning to lose faith in the monarchy as a consequence of all the uncertainty occurring. There is also the possibility that the palace or the couple may be selectively transparent, which means that they will only offer information that supports or contradicts key assertions. In the event that it has to be done, the documents will be suitably redacted in order to preserve the privacy of persons. It is possible that this kind of disclosure includes official birth certificates, comments from attending doctors, or a joint statement from the relatives of the deceased. In spite of the fact that this class would most likely answer people's inquiries and shed light on the organization, it would also compel them to share sensitive family information and establish a precedent for the amount of privacy that is allowed when the public wants evidence. Regarding the proper degree of information exchange, there would be ethical and legal problems that would arise in order to avoid infringing the privacy restrictions that pertain to minors and putting their freedom and well-being in jeopardy. A third option would be for the legislation or parliament to intervene in the situation. In the event that substantial information emerged that raised severe doubts about the line of succession or the use of royal titles, Parliament would possibly investigate or take action to remedy anomalies in succession or title usage. This would be done in accordance with statute. As the Succession to the Crown Act 2013 indicates, over the course of history, Parliament has had the last authority when it comes to issues concerning the laws of succession. However, it would be very risky for Parliament to become involved in such private family problems because of the potential for political fallout. It is a widely held belief that the royal family, as well as the legislative and executive institutions, should avoid becoming involved in party politics. However, this may potentially transform an institution that many people believe ought to maintain its neutrality into a political hotspot. Every single one of these prospective paths comes with its own set of advantages and disadvantages. It is possible that formal confirmation would explain problems for institutions and quiet public curiosity, yet it would also breach the privacy of families and encourage royal families to disclose personal information in the future. If you stay silent, your privacy will be protected, but the public and the institution will be vulnerable to conspiracy theories and gossip. It is possible that parliamentary action might clarify the statute, but it would undoubtedly provoke acrimonious political discussion and would even be met with disapproval from the general public. It is not possible to find a straightforward answer that meets the concerns of the public and the media without putting the children's right to privacy and safety in jeopardy, while simultaneously protecting the honor of a constitutional institution and ensuring its continued existence. The discourse that revolves around Archie and Lilibet sheds light on a number of more significant issues that are prevalent in contemporary politics, media, and public life. First and foremost, it is a perfect example of how difficult it is to strike a balance between the contemporary right to privacy, which is especially important for children, and the public interest in comprehending the roots of hereditary power. Furthermore, it highlights the enormous power that online communities and social media platforms may have in the dissemination of narratives that are not based on reasonable thinking. Thirdly, it is a perfect example of the difficulties that public organizations have when former workers choose to work for private corporations instead of public institutions. The actions made by such people have an effect on the institutions in a manner that extends beyond the duration of their individual careers. As a result, the institutions in issue are required to figure out how to deal with this circumstance. There is also the possibility that a case study on the ethics of tale presentation in a society where stories are mediated may be generated from the discussion too. More and more renowned people are making money off of their experiences by writing autobiographies, making documentaries, and signing partnerships with various media outlets. This raises a number of questions about boundaries, including the question of where the boundary is between being helpful or socially useful and turning it into a business. In the other direction, at what point does a request for verification devolve into an excessively thorough inspection? In the instance of the Sussex family, these conflicts come together because they tell stories in public while also maintaining their children's right to privacy. In conclusion, the disagreement sheds light on a dilemma that is unique to royal families in the contemporary era. There is a collision between the current concepts of individual liberty and the protection of children, and the ancient traditions of lineage and ceremonial openness in an information world that invites inquiry and spectacle. The assertions that are the most upsetting, such as the claimed presence of clandestine DNA, testing the use of surrogates who are bound by rigorous non-disclosure agreements, or the replacement of children with fraudulent stand-ins, have not been proven by reputable sources. The fact that they have endured for such a long time, on the other hand, reveals how fragile institutions can be when a society's needs for both openness and anonymity come into conflict with an institution's dependence on inherited legitimacy. In an era in which the media meticulously records every move, the event will undoubtedly have a significant impact on how the public perceives the House of Windsor, as well as the manner in which issues of privacy, publicity, and constitutional rights are addressed. This is true regardless of whether the key players choose to remain silent, disclose some details, or initiate formal proceedings. In the context of a contemporary constitutional monarchy, the tale illustrates how private choices made by families may have an impact on the public good, and how the manner in which those decisions are made can have an effect on people's faith in institutions as well as their trust in themselves. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.